Hello there, self-love summer campers. Pamela Nance Lee here, your summer love camp counselor, coming to you with week 3 of our 6-week summer self-love series. Say that 3 times fast. 6-week summer self-love series. And today what I want to talk to you about is the mask. Last week, we talked about a self-love assessment that you can do. I brought up 5 of the 20 traits of knowing where you stand with your self-love approach. It's a skill that can be developed. And if you want the full assessment, you can email me at bloomwithpamela@gmail.com. Today, what I want to talk about are projections, basically the mask, as defined by Carl Jung, Swiss psychiatrist, as the mask being a social face we put on to make a definite impression upon others, and on the other hand, to conceal the nature of the true individual. So this mask is something that we developed pretty early on in reaction to the important people's reactions and projections on ourselves and our behavior and how we were being. Some things were acceptable, some things were not acceptable. And so we layered on a mask in order to be socially acceptable. And what can happen if you don't know that there is a mask, and a lot of us do not. It's not really something that's taught. If you went down the therapy road, if you've been in therapy, you might have looked at it. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, you can't follow all of your impulses and, ways of being in every situation, but it's just a good thing to know that, yeah, there's this place where I exhibit this certain behavior, and sometimes there's, like the shadow side is underneath that behavior. For example, there's a place in all of us that's kind of like a dark, sort of cruel place. There's a place, that's why we love programs like Dexter and Game of Thrones and, what was that? Oh, Breaking Bad. That thing was, oh man, I couldn't even, but I did get into Game of Thrones once I got past the initial shock, and then I was like, yeah, kill him. And I think those shows are popular because they do let us relate to that cruelty piece that is within us. Not that we need to act on it, but a lot of the behavior in our society, aka mass shootings, and all of that has to do with the repressed dark side that came up to the surface. So that was getting a little dark myself there. I didn't mean to go quite that far into it. What I want to talk about today, though, is on the path of self-love, is that we need to look at those places where our behavior was deemed wrong or bad, or we were given messages that we were wrong or bad. Because what we want to do with self-love is we want to unearth the dark corners of our being where we've labeled ourselves as bad or wrong or shameful, that we've disowned, those places that we just have not wanted to claim, and come into a more integrated part of our sense of ourself. And there's also, with the knowledge that projections were placed upon us, we can let them go. But if you don't know that a projection was placed upon you, then you can't let it go. But it's still like running, it's like an operating system. It's still underneath there, running part of your life. But you don't even know it's there. So I have a tool for you. This is some inquiry that you will ask yourself this question. And I suggest having a journal so you can write it down, or you could also speak it, I guess, if you're not a journaler, you could record it to just see what comes up for you. And I'm guaranteeing you pretty much money back guarantee. Of course, you haven't given me any money, so not much to give back, but you are giving me your time. Yeah, well, you can call me and I'll give you some of my time if you don't find anything, if you don't dig around in there and find anything. I pretty much guarantee you're going to discover something about yourself that you didn't know, and that is going to give you a clue as to why perhaps you have not gotten the results from your life that you've wanted. And if you have wanted to lose weight, which is what I am talking about here with looking at what's underneath the surface of your behaviors, if you've wanted to lose weight and you haven't been able to, and you are wondering why, well, this could give you some clues. And let me demonstrate, or let me tell you the question, and then that'll make it clear. So the projections that were placed upon you and the messages that you got in childhood can still be running your life in many ways. So this is the question you need to ask yourself and journal it. What messages did you receive, both spoken and unspoken, about yourself, how you were, or how you should be growing up? That's the question. Let me repeat it. What messages did you receive, both spoken and unspoken, about yourself, how you were, or how you should be while you were growing up? And you'll want to ask yourself this question specifically about what messages did you get from your mother, from your father, from your siblings, your peers, your teachers, and your extended family. And you'll need to do it a couple of times, because this is part of the primitive brain. This is like younger stuff. This is like before you could really process emotions. Like this could be, we started getting these messages early, like, I don't know, maybe even pre-verbal, it can go back far. So ask yourself a number of times. Here's some examples of projections, just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So here's one. I'm unlovable. I'm not smart enough. I'm too much. I'm too sensitive. Don't cry. Don't show your emotions. Don't be a brat. Yeah, I know. So if you received something like that, there's plenty more, tons of examples. I just want to take it to the next step so you will see sort of how this plays out and how it can affect your life and how it relates to the mask. So I'm going to use the example, you're unlovable, or I will say I am unlovable, which was actually one of mine. I know, it's hard to admit that. That ran my show. It still shows up. I still have it surface. And so if you got that message, you're not lovable, and it wouldn't have even had to be one of my parents saying, you're not lovable. It's more in actions that were demonstrated to me or not demonstrated to me and how I interpreted them. So if that was one of the messages that you got, you're not lovable, but we need to somehow make this like self-presentable, even though I'm running around thinking I'm not lovable, how might that show up in the mask? Well, for me, it showed up as, I'm so tough, I don't need love. Like I'm fine on my own, completely fine. Which of course is a lie, because we all need love. So then if I'm telling myself I don't need love, if that's what I'm projecting, I'm so tough, I'm independent, I don't need love, I'm fine, but that need still exists, there's another way that I found, coping mechanism to meet that need. Guess what it was? Food. Food is always available, always there. You can always go get it. and it can meet a need. It feels like it's meeting a need for love. It did at a very young age. And then over time, I still had that behavior, even though I didn't realize that I was using food to meet my need for love. Hence, almost getting up to 200 pounds. And I'm 5'3". So you can do the math on that. That placed me in the obese category. And what I'm suggesting is that a lot of us do that. A lot of people that have excess weight on them that they don't want to carry around more than is comfortable, more than is healthy, more than feels good in their body, they're using food to meet a need that's not a food-related need. So this is really a super important exercise to find out those projections and see what is running on this operating system. So really ask yourself the question, what are the messages that you got? And go through all those people, write down the messages that you got. And then what we want to do is we want to root out this old projection. We want to pull it out from the root. So first off, it takes an awareness. It takes an awareness of like, where is that showing up? What, where is that thought showing up? And maybe it could look like, I don't want to go to that party, or I don't want to meet that person, or I don't want to share what I'm really thinking. And then you go deep down underneath that. I was like, well, why is that? And it's like, well, because they're going to be upset. Well, why do you think they'd be upset? And then you just keep going down and you find out, you get to the root. It's like, well, what's really going on is I feel like I'm not lovable. So there it is. Okay, there's the thought. And so then you start building evidence of what's really true. And what's really true is that you are lovable. And you start treating yourself as lovable. And you start telling yourself that you are lovable. And you look for the evidence of that. Look for the evidence of that and start doing things that will prove that to yourself, right? That you're like, yeah, I'm going to go to that party and I'm going to have a good time with people because I'm lovable and people like me. And, not that I'm everybody's cup of tea, but I'm some people's cup of tea. And so you just have to have that conversation with yourself. And this is a huge piece of self-love. It's hard for us to advance in our skill and our development of self-love if we have this root system that's got some rotten roots in it. We need to do root canal. Root canal those old beliefs out that weren't even yours. They got placed upon you. And then you had to develop this mask because you can't show up everywhere with these, bad messages that you got. So you kind of developed an armor. We all did. We all got it. So let's start disarming ourselves in many ways and move into that space of just loving and adoring this spirit, this person, this being that is here on the planet to do some cool shit and start doing it from a place of feeling whole and content and accepting of yourself. Not that we don't need to change, not that we don't have things to look at. We do. We all do. But when you approach yourself with an attitude and an agreement and an appreciation that you are a one-of-a-kind, beloved being here on the planet, the way that you're going to show up for yourself is going to be so much more loving. And then that love is going to spread into everything else that you do. It's going to melt like the softest butter and just fill up every crack and crevice in your world. Isn't that great? It's a self-love revolution, and you are at week 3 of Self-Love Summer Camp. So keep enjoying your summer selves. Keep loving yourself. It is a noble cause. You are a noble cause. This is one of the best things you can do. Get this right, and everything else will fall into place for you, I promise. If you want to talk more about it, you can reach me at bloomwithpamela@gmail.com, or leave a comment here, or check out my website. I'm around. I love talking about this. It's my favorite thing. Okay, take care.